Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, June 13th, 2023. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe that it's the little things that make a big difference. Give Brian a call today. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Today's National Weed Your Garden Day, Fitzy. Hey, do you have a garden?
Not really, no.
What does that mean?
So, I don't know that there's anything planted in it yet.
Okay, but do you ever garden, or is that Holly?
That's Holly. I don't garden.
I don't either. It's National Weed Your Garden Day. I don't know what a weed looks like. Everything, unless it's like a flower blooming, everything looks like a weed to me.
Or everything looks like a flower, because some weeds are pretty.
Wait, are they really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what a weed is. So, yeah, that's probably good that we don't. All right. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Sorry we're a little late this morning. Somebody, not going to name names.
That's right.
So just as a reminder that, I got to turn my email off, that we are once again doing a ticket giveaway. See, Renee, she's all over it. Ticket giveaway for Freedom Music Fest Wisconsin. So I don't know if you saw it last week. So we put in the subject line about all the ticket giveaway stuff, and then someone made a fake DrydenWire account, and then
Really?
Yeah, and then went and replied to every person that commented with, "Hey, you won something," and if you clicked it, then you went there, and then it was you had to put in a credit card. It was a spam, and we've never had that before. So this time around, we decided we're not going to put all that ticket giveaway information in the subject line because I think that kind of triggered something. So we banned them, etc., whatever. But that was kind of it happened within 5 minutes after the show was finished.
Oh, it must be a big deal. People are trying to spam us.
We are pretty big. But so we are doing it again. 4 tickets we're going to give away. In order to, qualify or to be a part of it, all you have to do is comment during today's show. Be active and engaged. And every time you comment, it counts as basically a ticket kind of a thing. The more times you comment, the the better chances you have of winning.
That's right. Right now, if we drew, there'd be 1, 2.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and we should probably say, should we say you can't win twice, or not?
Let's let them live.
Let them. All right. Hey, you're making the rules. All right. So we have a whole bunch to get to today. So we'll quickly just do our sports things. So I think we were 1 for 2 on our predictions. Should have got wrong. We did get it exactly right that Vegas was going to be up 3-1 over Florida, and they are right. They're up 3-1 right now. So we got that one right. But we're totally off on the NBA. We thought Miami would be up 3-2 today, and as of last night, they lost the series 4-1. So I don't know if that's a question that you want to get to, but I wanted to switch gears here a little bit and ask you about tennis because we never talked about tennis
over the weekend.
It was kind of quietly over the weekend. Novak Djokovic won his 23rd Grand Slam. That was at the French Open, giving him the most Grand Slams in men's history. Does this solidify him as the greatest of all time?
Well, I didn't even know that was on. And usually I'm flipping channels. You usually end up watching it, and I didn't even see it on TV.
It was on the tennis channel. So ESPN must not have had a contract with them or anyone else. So it wasn't on regular stuff. That's why I say quietly. It was on the tennis channel, and I would watch it at 4 a.m. because, it's in France. Right. So it was a weird time frame. But yeah, it's nobody really paid attention to him. Holy cow, now he has more. Anyway, does this solidify him as the greatest of all time?
Gotta be.
I think so too.
Right. That's pretty simple. It's just, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. I 100% agree with you. Do you have a question?
So the NBA championship was last night. So, my question to you is, and I know all the prediction people are out there, do they repeat? Does Denver repeat? Their core is 23, 24, 25, and 26 years old. Do they repeat next year?
Well, they were certainly have to be considered the front runners. And this whole plan of LeBron James, it all started with him taking his talents to South Beach, right, in Miami. That was 10 years ago. And then it kind of started this where all the superstars kind of quietly kind of talk and all get together to form these super teams. Look at Phoenix Suns, another one, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, he'll be gone, Kevin Durant. And then when Kevin Durant went to the Golden State Warriors, that I don't see that really working anymore.
Right.
So you'd have to say that Denver is the front runner, but that's easy to say. Anytime somebody wins like a Super Bowl, it's like, well, you just assume, all right, okay. But they say that the hardest thing to do isn't to win the championship. The hardest thing to do is to do it again next year. So everyone's going to be gunning for him. But as of right now, Boston seems to be in a little flux. What are they going to do with their two superstars? Is Jaylen Brown going to be gone? What's LeBron James going to? They have to be the front runner.
Yeah,
what do you think?
If LeBron changes teams, then it maybe shakes it up. But if he stays and everybody stays as is, I mean, I heard the Timberwolves were thinking about shopping Karl Anthony Towns. I mean,
good. He's over. Yeah, I've never particularly cared for his game. You can't be that tall and just shoot 3-pointers. Come on, man. I'm just saying. Get out of the paint.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, I don't know. It'll be interesting. That was everybody always says, can they win it again next year? And, I mean, let them enjoy this year. But, it is a good conversation piece to start with. And they rolled everybody. So, I mean, they had 7 days off before the series. So
that probably helped.
I saw Brian this weekend and his daughter, Aquafest. Brian was the sponsor out there. He's always helping. He was in the parade with his crew, giving away stuff. Parade was awesome. Aquafest was awesome. So
that figures. Brian's everywhere.
That's right.
No kidding. He's just a solid dude. He just totally is. Hey, and by the way, I saw you this last Friday. We did a little family day. Drusha and I and the two youngest who are still here at the house. And we stopped in. I think I have a photo of it. There's Drusha, my wife, in the middle, and then Kenneth and Riley, and then you and I. So we stopped in there Friday. We're heading down to Eau Claire for a family day, just to get away for no particular reason, just to do something. We thought we'd stop in and say hi, and we did. And you actually gave us a little tour. And honestly, it was like my takeaways when we left and got in the vehicle and head back to Eau Claire. We were talking about it. One, I'm shocked that building was 20 years old.
Right.
It is so kind of like how you with garbage is with Freedom Music Fest. Whoever you're, the I don't know if they're called janitors anymore, if that's like secretaries. You don't say that anymore.
We have a cleaning crew.
Your cleaning crew, there you go. Holy cow. Like that place looks like it's 2 years old.
Yeah. They take a good job. And, the jail looks that way, and the inmates do all the work down in the jail. So when the jail's cleaned, it's cleaned by inmates. So
and they give them something to do.
Yeah, and they get an hour off their sentence for every hour of work they do for us.
What?
As long as they're in good behavior, and they don't act out and they don't try to do something dumb, but because then they can lose all those hours they have banked up. So it's a plus minus system. Yeah, it works out really well for us. It's low risk inmates that get to do that kind of stuff, not a high risk inmate, but it's little things like that make a big difference sometimes.
They really do. I'm sorry. And another thing that we talked about was, because I've obviously been up to the jail and dispatch center at Washburn County when Dad was sheriff. I've been up there several times. And, because there's jailer and dispatchers in Washburn, you're large enough where you can kind of separate those. But the thing I found really interesting was that when we were going into the dispatch center, it felt like an office environment, not a really heavy and super dark, and it seemed like more of an office setting, like cubicles type thing. And I don't know if that makes a difference for them, but I think it has to mentally. Like there was windows. You could look outside, where in a lot of other counties, specifically Washburn, I'm thinking of, you can't see outside.
Right.
I wonder if that helps play, like that mental part when you're doing that kind of a job where you can look out a window and see sunlight.
I think it does, because no one calls 911 saying, "Hey, guess what? I just had some good news." There's no good news that happens in dispatch. It's all bad things. People calling in looking for help, and we get to do some good things. We get to help people a lot, but I think the environment is a big piece of it. they got to have TV and internet, and they got to take a break, and they've got to see the sun. And I think, we just remodeled the kitchen in there because I think they're there for 12 hours. They've got to live there, and sometimes they're there longer than 12 hours because of overtime and because of bad things happening.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of a call and it's like, well, time's up, see ya. You probably need to stay around for a little while longer.
Right. And that happens. And there's been plenty of shifts where people have worked 12, 14 hours easy,
Oof.
Tornadoes and storms that happen. So, I appreciate you stopping by. I love the
no
show.
kidding. That was great. And I should throw in Riley, my daughter, happy birthday. She turned 15 yesterday.
Yeah, she did. Happy birthday.
She's growing up so fast.
That's right.
It's ridiculous. The other thing that so he also gave us a tour of the jail, which, I mean, that was just totally creepy. Like anybody that's even, like, I'm just walking down the hall, and Jerusha and Kenneth and Riley and I were walking down the hall, and I was creeped out. Like, even Kenneth afterwards, like, yeah, I don't want to be there. Like, we're not even in the jail cells. We're just in the hall, but just the feeling of it, I'm like, yeah, this is weird. But the other takeaway that we had noticed was when we went into the jail, and I forget the person that was there, she stood up right away and was, I don't know if she has military background, but it was very professional, and she explained and walked through some things and even said, like, sir to me, like, yes, sir. And I'm like, sir, what? That's weird. But it was an exceptionally professional environment. I'm just saying. You run a great crew, and the jail administrator, whoever that is, it's called the jail administrator for you guys too, right, in Barron? Okay. Yeah. Well, whoever he or she is doing a great job.
I got a great team. I love my team. And, I've said that lots. Happy birthday. But yeah, I got a great team. It's easy to be the sheriff when you build good people around you, and I got the best around me. So my job's easy.
100%. So we do have some press releases that we need to get to, or a few things. There was a UTV crash that claims a woman's life yesterday. You had put that out. We had a story, jury returns verdict on a man charged with possessing child pornography in Barron County. A couple other, and I have a question actually about pot, because that's always a fun topic. So let's get to that right after this, after 15 seconds from a word from Spooner Health.
Satisfaction surveys and in conversations with patients, they appreciate the fact that staff got to know them. Staff really took their preferences into account, and they just feel grateful that they are being cared for as a person.
To learn more about our services, visit SpoonerHealth.com.
And as a reminder, anyone that is watching this show live this morning, be active and engaged in the comments. Every time that you comment, you enter for a chance to win a general admission ticket to Freedom Music Fest Wisconsin, which will be here in Spooner on July 1st. Fitz and I will be there as well. Before we go on to those press releases and articles, so something that I wanted to bring up last week, but of course we had Amy Greenfield on talking about Freedom Music Fest Wisconsin, but Minnesota passed a law recently, and I believe it's effective, I had it written down here, so starting August 1st, Minnesota residents over the age of 21 can legally possess up to 2 pounds of marijuana at home and 2 ounces elsewhere. So, like, on the go. Hold on a second. My nephew just got hired for dispatch. What? Yeah. Did you even know that, Fitzy?
Well, I didn't know that was her nephew. But I know we hired a new dispatcher. I didn't know.
Awesome.
We don't do family trees anymore when we hire people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Karen, let us know what your nephew thinks of the sheriff after he's been there for a couple of weeks. So that was what had happened over in Minnesota. So I have 2 questions about this. One is just if someone goes to Minnesota, because you can, if you visit there, you can buy it. Obviously, you don't have a home there, so you can't have the 2 pounds of it, but you could go and get 2 ounces. So if Drew and I, we drive, all right, so this is not what we're doing, but if Drew and I drive to Minnesota, and right. I go and I buy legally 2 ounces of marijuana, I don't know how much that is, but enough, I'm sure, to get, super high and wasted. Now, she drives back here to, home. She's driving. I'm, blitzed out of my mind. And we get pulled over, and the cop's like, holy cow, yeah, clearly. And I'm like, yep, I'm high as a kite, buddy. Is that illegal? Do I get in trouble in Wisconsin?
You don't have any pot on you? You smoked it all?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's not illegal.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, no, that's not illegal to be high. It's, no, not busted. Doesn't mean we won't, you won't make our list of people that we want to watch that, and you can't have any on you. You can't go to Minnesota and bring 2 ounces back to your house. You can't cross state lines with it. And we'll have a lot of people that do that, and you can't do it. It's illegal in Wisconsin. It's still illegal in Wisconsin. I don't think it'll even pass this time around.
No. And that's my second. What's that?
My phone's ringing. Just go ahead. So.
All right. So that was my second question to this. If that bill that over 21 can legally possess up to 2 pounds at home and 2 ounces elsewhere, if that exact bill passed in Wisconsin, what challenges immediately would that present for Barron County? I'm not asking if you would want it passed or if you don't want it passed. I'm just asking immediately, like, okay, here's what we'd have to start doing. What challenges would that present?
Well, it presents a lot of challenges, not just to law enforcement, but to businesses. You have now people that drive garbage trucks, CDL licenses, everything, and marijuana stays in your system a lot longer than alcohol does. You can go out and have a good time this weekend, have a little too much to drink, and Monday morning you're ready to go to work. Okay? Marijuana stays in your system longer. And so now your CDLs are affected, your crane operators, your diggers, your dump truck drivers, all become affected. And now as a business owner, and I'm just saying it as a business owner, do I need to drug test my people to make sure they're not high when they crash their dump truck? And we hope it never happens, but accidents happen. We understand accidents happen all over. So my dump truck, somebody crashes into my dump truck, but now my driver seems odd or takes his drug test because CDLs may require that, or your business, and you come back with a prohibited concentration of THC in your blood. Now your insurance isn't going to cover it because you were intoxicated at the time of the crash. Maybe the accident becomes some fault of yours, even though you got rear-ended because you were intoxicated, things like that, or you had a prohibited concentration, maybe not intoxicated. So you have all that. Now the crane all those will get affected. Now from a law enforcement standpoint, it affects it in the fact that now we have a lot more blood tests. We have a lot more people taken to the hospital. We have a lot more people, maybe the pro law enforcement or the pro marijuana people would say people won't drink and drive. They won't do drugs and drive. Well, it's not reality because people drink and drive all the time.
Yeah, no kidding. Right.
And it's going to be harder to detect to some degree. We're going to be measuring to make sure you only have 2 ounces, but 2 ounces is not a lot.
Okay, I don't know.
We're going to have a ton of border issues. People are going to say, well, it's legal over there, so I thought I could bring it home. Well, you can't. And, the Hudsons of the world, the border cities of the world are really going to, I think, have more trouble than us. But maybe I'm wrong.
I remember when I was 18, I was working at the Walmart distribution center in Menominee. And if like a forklift operator or anyone, if you cause an accident or if you forklift operator try to pull a pallet down, everything falls down. The first thing you have to do is you have to go and get a drug test.
Right.
And now how do you do it? Because if marijuana stays in your system longer, it's just interesting. I wonder how the corporations like the Walmart, because this isn't the first state that's legalized it. They must have things in place where it's like, okay, I guess we just don't drug test you. That's weird, but whatever. So from a law enforcement standpoint, as far as I know, there still isn't like a PBT for alcohol, right?
Correct.
There isn't a way that you can, now we got to take you, get a blood test. So in a weird way, it's like, because right now it's, law enforcement, stop focusing on marijuana. Not like that's exactly you sit down every morning and say, okay, guys, let's make sure we bust everybody for marijuana. That's what our goal is to do that. But there are some people who still think that. But it could be a scenario where it's going to actually be more work.
Oh, 100%.
For law enforcement if it's legal. Interesting.
It's going to be. There's no question about it. I mean, we won't have to chase the marijuana, but I don't know. I don't know the answer. I was going to say not many people smoke just marijuana because I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But it mixes. Your first eye is your best eye. We've said that on this show before. Your first eye is your best eye. You're always chasing the dragon. That's why they've written books on it. It's I didn't make it up. That's how it works, chasing the dragon. So
yeah.
And then you go to even more marijuana, or then you switch to meth, and then you switch to fentanyl, then you switch to
maybe
whatever. So that's what happens, the natural progression. Now, I know there's some people, somebody will say, I've only smoked marijuana my whole life. I've never switched to the next drug. That is a reality. There's no question that.
I smoke cigarettes. I'm not a drug. No, thank you. That's like a completely different thing. Now, that doesn't mean that, everybody else, I don't know. I was just curious about that first one. Is that going to be an issue going forward? Because I didn't even know what is the kind of the law in Wisconsin if somebody does get high in Minnesota legally and then drives and they're in Wisconsin. I'm sorry, not driving, but they're in the vehicle. Is that? But you're saying that there could be some people who are actually driving and not realizing that, no, you can't actually still drive in Wisconsin. Well, I'm assuming over Minnesota too. I should have looked that up. I don't know what the penalty is over there then if you are, drug driving. Is it just the same as before, or do they make that more severe? Because that wouldn't be bad. If you're going to legalize it, just then make it even more severe of a penalty to try to help curb some of that.
Right. And who's going to enforce over 2 pounds? And who's going to enforce over 2 ounces? Now, the state
2 pounds. How do you?
Right.
Can't go to people's homes.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
It'll be interesting. Is it 2 pounds per person in the household? It'd be interesting in the law because you have 4 people in your house. Can you have 8 pounds now?
Yeah, well, because it's per individual, and I thought about that, and I looked it up. You can. I mean, it's not per household; it's per person, and as long as you are 21 or older.
Oh.
So
a lot of marijuana flowing. I don't think they're going to get the tax base, but we'll see.
We'll see. So you would put out a press release yesterday. Our headline was UTV crash claims life of woman leaves man critically injured. An ATV crash near Cumberland leaves one dead, driver critically injured as speed and alcohol are suspected contributing factors. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Sunday night, we had a report of a crash, a UTV crash. 2 people were driving a UTV, and it went off the trail. It was on the trail. It wasn't on a roadway. It was on a trail, ATV snowmobile trail. And they went off the roadway and hit a tree, had to be extricated from there. The female died on the scene. The male was airlifted to a critical care unit in Regions as in critical condition. And I don't have an update on him at this time. Another tragic accident in Barron County. And alcohol and speed are contributing factors to that. How
do you determine, not this specific one, but how, because you usually will put that in if that is believed to be a contributing factor. You always like to use that word, believed to be. Initial investigation suggests that alcohol and speed are believed to be contributing factors. How do you determine that? Is it just like, I could smell it, or there's open containers? Is there a process for you to figure out if that was a possible contributing factor?
Those are 2 things we look for: smell, open containers, maybe. And in this case, there was other people traveling behind that said what they were doing all day. And it's, but a lot of it, when it comes to maybe a single car accident, it's open containers, it's the smell. Ultimately, sometimes people can talk and they give a statement of where they were coming from. Everybody says they've only always had one, but
I thought it was 2.
Yeah, 2.
2 is always the answer. 2.
They were huge, but I know. But yeah, that's how we determine that. And it's, I don't know how they determined it in this case. They tell me this information, but that goes into it. It's in the official report. I looked at the DNR's report, and speed and alcohol are contributing factors. And this is the first time I've seen a UTV where somebody had to get extricated out of a UTV. Now, that means they were wearing their seatbelts, which are wonderful. I don't know about helmet use. I don't know that. But yeah, it was not pretty. Again, hats off to our Cumberland firemen, our ambulances, our helicopters. We landed 2 helicopters again on a scene. Hats off to our air helicopters. I mean, they do the work of many. I mean, they're just a blessing to have here, and I'm glad we have a helicopter in Barron County.
The second post that we had regarding Barron County, it was an insider article, and it was a follow-up. So our headline was, Jury returns verdict on man charged with possessing child pornography in Barron County. During a one-day jury trial, the jurors heard testimony from multiple law enforcement officers and agents. Over a dozen exhibits were presented during the trial. At 4:12 p.m., the jurors exited to deliberate. At 4:42, half an hour later, jurors returned the verdict of guilty. I think there's a sentencing in August, if I recall correctly. When you see stories like that, how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel great. And one of our people here knew one of the jurors. I don't know, talked to him afterwards. I don't think they know each other. And I feel bad for the jurors because actually they saw some images on these jurors. They see a lot of images that
I never
they
thought
can't
about
unseen.
that.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought about that till he said it either. And I'm glad the jury did what they did. I'm very happy. But these are the cases that not only are the jury seeing it, you got to remember the detectives that are working these cases have to see multiple hundreds and hundreds of images, sometimes thousands of images that they have to go through and make sure they're child's and make sure that as a normal person, as you and me looking at this picture, would you consider that a person under the age of 18? And is it for sexual gratification? And is it for this? I mean, that's what our detectives have to do on a daily basis. That's why I love doing this show, because people don't think about that.
I didn't think about it.
Right. The juries. I hadn't really thought about the jury having to see those pictures. So that it can create trauma, might be a big word, but it's trauma triggers.
It's traumatic. So
right,
therefore, I would have to think so.
So I'm glad the jury did it. Our detectives, and this wasn't our case. It was a Rice Lake PD case. Hats off to the Rice Lake PD detective for this one. They do a good job. And DCI helps us do a lot of this stuff. And we've sent our third detective now to ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children training, because this is the new crime. I mean, as much as I want to concentrate on meth and marijuana and drugs and fentanyl and all this other stuff, we're kind of getting pulled in a different direction here. And that's something, again, as sheriff, that's what I have to decide. Where are we going to put our resources? And you're right. We're going to protect our kids. We're going to do everything we can. So, we're pulling right now from our drug scene into internet crimes against children. Sometimes they're connected, but I don't want to get away from drugs and I don't want to get away from prevention. And I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to do prevention in internet crimes against children. Our kids aren't being trafficked. That word trafficking is a big word out there. We're not trafficking, but it's images being shared and downloaded and shared and sold. And that's the cases we're seeing. It's not any local. I hope not. I don't know of any cases where a local kid, parents are taking pictures and selling images. I'm sure it happens. I know it's happened in the meth world. We've seen cases like that, but I don't want to make it sound like these are local Barron County kids. They might be in a different country. They might not even be in the United States. So I don't, thank God, I haven't had to see many or very few of these images. But juries have to see it, DAs have to see it, judges, and then our cops have to go through it and put the whole case together. So
yep. So prevention, that's interesting. Another thing I hadn't thought about. That would be difficult. Like you can be a deterrent for speeders by parking a squad in the median of of the road in between north and a southbound on 53. Right. Okay, that'll slow people down pretty fast. How do you start addressing the prevention? Is there a way when it comes to crimes against children? In this case, we'll just say specifically images, not talking about actual physical that
abuse.
But but you say how?
Well, the only prevention I can come up with is longer prison sentences, and I think that the whole world agrees with that. And I think we're starting to see that. But again, that brings another factor in for law enforcement, and the fact that becomes very dangerous, because now if you're a predator and you're got all these things and all of a sudden the cops come, now that you're cooked, and then you fight back, you shoot back, that's why people have said, why did you use your SWAT team to do an internet crimes against children warrant? These guys didn't have any criminal record, because the severity of the punishment is way up here, and it becomes, I don't want to get caught, I'm not going to jail, I do dumb things then. And that's where the danger of this comes into play for law enforcement. Again, a factor that no one else thinks about. And I have to think about for the safety of the 78 employees here.
So, hey, speaking of, we talked the last couple of weeks. Let's see if this will actually work, because we're 2 for 2 on getting people jobs. Maya's got a job. You're requesting 2 more deputies. So this would be something that, because we've talked in the past that the investigations are getting longer and longer for each thing, because we're tackling things that require a lot more investigation, a lot more hours that are put in. And there was a committee meeting on Friday morning. And if it passed there, then I believed it goes to the county board at some point here, probably this month or next month. Did that pass in the committee?
Yes, it did. It did pass 8-0. And one of the factors in that was internet crimes against children. I had to grab my piece of paper behind me. Cases across the U.S. have increased 15,000% over 15 years.
That can't be accurate.
Yes,
15,000% isn't even a number. That's not even. How do you?
That's how many cases have increased, and that's over 15 years. So don't get me wrong. That's
But still,
we probably started with 0, but that still means over 15 years, internet crimes against children cases have increased over 15,000% in the United States. And I'm not saying that's a factor why we should add 2 cops. I'm saying it takes cops 40 to 80 hours, one person just looking at images because you can't just get one image and say, oh, we have one image, let's convict him, because people understand you click on something on your computer and it might be a mistake. Okay. Now, but if you clicked 42 times, it's not a mistake anymore.
Okay. Mistake. Yeah. Right.
Right.
That's a choice at this point.
And that's another reason we can't just buy drugs from you once and call you a drug dealer, because maybe you were just desperate and needed rent money. And so you sold drugs for the first time in your life. That's why we have to buy drugs multiple times from you. We can't just bust you once and call you a drug dealer. That's how we build these cases up. And it takes more than, I can't buy drugs from you on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, because you'd be like, man, you used a lot of drugs. You have to wait weeks in between, because you can't just buy drugs on Monday and then go back on Tuesday morning and say, I'm out already. That's not how the drug world works. And so you have to build these cases, and it takes time to build these internet crimes against children cases.
We have done, I believe we discussed this once in the past as well. We've done more stories in the last year about crimes against children, either pornography or actual abuse, than we had done in the previous 6 years combined. And I'm not searching for these, but these are the big cases that we're seeing. And so I think that's a testament. So when we see a lot of these stories on DrydenWire, I think that's a good thing, because that means we're, catching these people. I think you'd like to think if we're not running those stories, that means it's not happening, but that's just not reality. It means that maybe a law enforcement agency doesn't have the resources to look into it, because that's a thing nowadays. It just is. You just gave that percentage, 15,000%. Since, what was it, 2015? No, 2000?
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. Yeah, this isn't just a local this is everywhere.
Right.
So, and if we can do our part to at least, allegedly, we'll say, but we follow every story to the end. And I believe virtually every single one, I can't recall one that the case was thrown out or dismissed, or they were found not guilty. There's been a couple here or there, but for the most part, yeah. It comes to fruition.
Most of these cases isn't someone viewing porn. It's not viewing the pornographic images. It's sharing, it's downloading and sharing or selling these images back and forth between this underground world that most people don't even know exists, thank God.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble with law enforcement and the mindset that we have to go to. That a lot of people don't understand the drug world, and I compare the two because they're similar. It's different crimes, but they're similar in nature. So it comes down to judges and juries and minimum mandatory sentences on some of these and the dangers of it. And we'll continue to fight that fight.
Well, real quick before we get to figuring out some winners for our tickets, this is actually a Washburn County thing. I just want to quickly get your feedback on this. The story was alleged drug dealers arrested, homicide charges in connection to fatal overdose in Spooner. So this was something that I believe in Washburn County, this is the first time it's happened, at least since I've been running DrydenWire. First time. I believe a similar situation has the district attorney's offices in Barron, in Sawyer, I think maybe Burnett, maybe Polk in our area have done something similar. But as far as I can tell and recall, the first time ever in Washburn County. And basically, so it's a fatal overdose occurred in May in Spooner, and it's been linked to an alleged sale of fentanyl to the deceased. Two men, David Belisle Jr. of Hayward and Quill Hawk of Hayward, are both facing homicide charges for allegedly selling the fentanyl that caused the overdose death. And I talked to you yesterday offline and asked if fentanyl was a thing, and I think you even kind of said, we're not seeing it as much, which that's good, right? 100%. But when I see this, it's like, that's awesome. And I remember even asking Jerusha, works at the district attorney's office, I said, this is a big thing, right? And she said, well, yeah. Now, this was her perspective and view, not the official view of the district attorney's office of Washburn County. Just her. She said, if we can start, these are homicide charges, not drug charges per se, for drug dealers.
Right.
If they're getting charged with homicide for selling and somebody overdoses, they're going to be less likely to go to their buyers and want to come back and sell here if they know this is a county that's going to start charging homicide charges if you sell fentanyl inside of a marijuana or just fentanyl on its own. That's a big deal. We need to start seeing more fentanyl homicide charges being filed, if appropriate, if you can prove it and whatever. But that stuff is a big deal. That's what she said. What do you think?
I think it's a huge deal. The problem with that is most of our fentanyl people are dead and they can't tell us where they bought their drugs from. And that's the reality of
I don't
this.
mean to be laughing, but you're right.
I agree. No, I'm serious. It's
think
exactly
about
that. Most of the fentanyl, and that's the reality of it. If you don't like it, change the channel, because that's the reality of this. Is most of our fentanyl people end up dead, so we don't know where they bought it from. Now, in this case, if we can find that, 100% Brian Wright charges. I'm glad that Washburn County and Sheriff's Department and the Washburn County DA are charging that. If we can find that, that is we are running. I'm pulling people in and doing overtime, because we are going to solve that problem. I agree 100%. It's just, that's a very hard find, and I'm glad they charged it. They don't charge it unless they're going to win it, and I'm pretty sure. I hope that those two guys are cooked. No offense, but you can't sell fentanyl because that kills people. It's instantaneous. I don't care how close you live to the hospital, you're going to die if you take fentanyl. And it's killed. It's what was that article? I kind of glanced at it. It's the number one cause of death in Wisconsin for ages 25 to 52, something like 24 to 48, something like that. It was a story that we put up last week. It was from Ford Analytics, and that had gotten a 1,000% increase in these drug-related deaths since 2015, from 2015 to 2021. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I want to ask this question because, only because someone asked a question and somebody responded, he won't tell you. So now I totally have. Yeah, I'm answering it. I was waiting for you to bring it
Okay,
up.
good. Have you ever had a dirty cop? And I don't think she means hygiene.
Yes,
I hate asking.
No, not that I'm aware of that we've had a dirty cop, and if we did, they wouldn't work for the Barron County Sheriff's
And by
Department.
dirty, are we assuming financial, like getting paid?
I suppose you're taking drugs from drug dealers or taking money out of the evidence room, and if we had that, they wouldn't be employed here. I wouldn't cover it up. People know where we stand here. They know who I am. They know what I believe in, and we don't have dirty cops. Have we? There's been, cops that have been involved in extracurricular activities that have been suspended, off duty, and or terminated.
They're humans too. It's not justification, but they're still humans.
Right.
They're prone to making bad choices as well.
100%, and they no longer work here. So we've terminated people. We've had people leave. People have left based on investigations. Off duty again, nothing on duty. I can't think of an on duty investigation that I've had.
I think Washburn, I did a story a couple of years ago. I think it was a jailer dispatcher, I believe, and I think was taking some medication out of the medication thing for people. That's a pretty bad choice. But
right.
When you're doing stuff like that, there's probably an addiction there of something. So hopefully that person, I can't remember how that story ended. We followed it to the end, but I can't remember how it worked out. All right, so we're up about our time already. Quickly, though, the board meeting, so it was approved in the committee for the two other deputies. When is the board meeting? Is it this month or next month?
Monday the 19th. So next week from
next Tuesday, a week from today, we could be talking about.
We might not even be able to have a show. We might be hiring people right then and there.
Boom. No. Love it.
Maybe we'll do live interviews. If you want to be a cop, you got to get on DrydenWire and do an interview.
We're pretty good at getting people jobs. Dirk Miller, here's our weather forecast from our official weather person on Positive Tuesday, Ben and Fitzy. Abnormally dry conditions. Hopefully some rain this week. Jeepers. Well,
that's good. I don't really need rain this week. We got a couple of events. We got our family fun night at the Rice Lake High School tonight ends with our celebrity golf on Thursday. We raised about $200,000 in the community and give it back to our local community. It goes to the Boys and Girls Club, the Benjamin House,
awesome,
Kinship, 20 other youth organizations I'm part of. So this afternoon I'll be up at the high school. Hopefully everybody comes up to Rice Lake High School tonight. Bring your kids. There's some characters, and our sports teams put on events and shoot pucks with hockey kids and volleyball kids and football kids, and it's just a great family fun night. And then we have our celebrity golf outing on Thursday, which is a private event for our sponsors. It's really great. They help us raise over $100,000 just on that day. Back to Blue event Friday night in Cumberland. Unbelievable. Thank you to Bourbon's Bar and the Hammer Bar and all the people that put that on. Cumberland Fire was there. Bare Minimum, the band. I mean, what a great community event. I went over there for a couple hours thinking I was going to be there a couple hours. I stayed all night. It was a party. We had water balloon fights with the kids. We just hung out with people, thanked the cop. It was a great community positive event for law enforcement. They honored Chautauqua and Cameron and Cumberland Police Departments. Chief Wolf did an unbelievable job over there with her team. But Bourbon's Bar, Hammer Bar, Chris Zappa did an unbelievable job throwing this event together. They had live auction, silent auctions, raised some money for law enforcement. I just want to do that. And I just want to do that on Friday night. I don't want to raise money. I don't want people to spend money. I just want to have food and drinks in the street and have a big party like that once a month. I think we should do that in our communities, to get together and just have fun. We don't need to raise money. We don't need to just have fun and be together. That's the biggest difference we can make. So thank you to the Back to Blue people that put that on. It was awesome.
And especially, we're not that far removed from a time where we didn't even have fireworks.
Yeah, right.
We couldn't go anywhere. Remember that whole summer, 2020. Right. So now you're right. You don't have to necessarily be for something. How about we just get together and hang out and have a good time? I love it.
Happy Father's Day this weekend to all the fathers out there. Appreciate everybody.
Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Yeah, same to you. And let's go out and have a big week. It's a big week for our community in Rice Lake here for put on some fundraisers. So I'm pretty busy the rest of the week, but hopefully there's no crime and I don't have to do my sheriff job. So.
Well, you've been saying that every week for 3 weeks, and we go through with Sunday. So on Sunday morning, I look at my email, I'm like, oh, right. Nothing, no, because we always say, hopefully next week, we won't have a press release to talk about, no fatalities, no nothing. And then for 3 straight weeks, on Monday, there's a press release from Fitzy. Something happened over like on a Sunday night usually or something. It's
been really busy on our weekends. Hats off to the people that didn't drink and drive at Aquafest. They had a sober ride program. I mean, even my kid drove some people home so that people didn't drink and drive. It's pretty awesome. It's just, that's how you make a difference in your community and make sure there's no bad things that happen. I know bad things do happen. Russ County had a bad one. I talked to Sheriff Wallace yesterday. He knew the person that died. Sucks for him. And that was a pretty bad crash over in Russ County yesterday. I know you had that on your DrydenWire. So hats off to our law enforcement. They do some different things that everybody doesn't have to see and hear about. Just appreciate all the support you have for law enforcement.
100%. No kidding. And that's part of the reason why I love doing the show is because as you know, everyone in my family, with the exception of my mother, has been in law enforcement in some shape or way. By the way, Uncle Al.
Yeah.
Is coming up this weekend. We have a family get together at like a family reunion at Matt's Ice Cream Stand beach area this Saturday for all of our family. My kids, I can see with grandkids because it's been several months to see them. So Uncle Al's coming up, my dad's brother, who's been in law enforcement for 40 years down in the Chicago metro area. So he'll be up staying here at the house, I think Thursday through like Monday or Tuesday next week. If he stays till Tuesday, maybe we'll get him on the show. He's actually been on the show with us before. Uncle Al is legit. He's so awesome, but I haven't seen him in person in like 15, 20 years. So I can't wait.
You know what we should do? We should make your mom an honorary cop for one day, so you can say every person in law enforcement's been in law enforcement.
An honorary cop. Well, you know what? Wives of sheriffs, they should get an honorary badge of some kind, because that's not an easy gig, as Holly, I'm sure, will attest. Okay, so how do we want to do this? We had some issues last time. So we want to wait until, like, do this as soon as, like what we did last time. We waited till we're finished. We signed off, and then I just announced it after, because you can't see some things and whatever. Do we want to do that? So we'll have the announcement in 5 minutes, or?
Right, but let's look at how many people are online, and I'll pick the numbers live so people can see it, and we'll start from the top. And so
I don't know how many. I don't know how many. Again, I'm not actually on Facebook, so I can't see.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking.
Oh, so I can just go to it real quick here. Oh, cheapers! I'm listening to us right now. 58 comments.
That's what I have too. So we'll just put 60 in, so we have it. And then we'll do
That's weird. I've never actually watched our show. Wait, I can see when other people are on?
5. We can count to 5.
Fantastic. You know what? Shoot, I'll do that right now. Are we going from the top down?
No, well, don't count.
No. Okay, we'll do this when we're finished so we can do it better. So hold on.
You got 5.
Okay.
Are you writing it down?
Yeah.
This is worse than the other way we're doing it.
29. Okay.
44.
44. Okay.
And 28.
28. Ooh, that's nice. Right next to each other. I like that one better.
Right next to each other. So we'll announce them.
I'll put that up. We'll run through this when we're finished here, and I'll have that announcement up in 5-10 minutes in this on our,
and I'll
our chat thing in the video. Awesome. Thanks again for that little tour last week. Fitzy, no kidding. Thank you. And to all law enforcement for continuing to keep us safe. Sometimes even it's just one of those jobs, man, where you do your job regardless if people even appreciate it. Because it doesn't matter. This is our job. Thank you, law enforcement, all of you in law enforcement. Thank you to our dispatchers, your dispatchers down in Barron. They were so nice and polite. And I know one of them because she's up in our area too.
And she's going to be mad if we don't mention this is your last week to buy the T-shirt for the Donut Dash. So get your Donut Dash T-shirts. You got to get them by, I think, Monday, or you can't get one. Maybe it's a week from Monday. But register for the Donut Dash. It all goes for a shop with the cop for the kids. And we'll talk more about that next week.
For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. So give Brian a call today. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. We'll announce the official winners of the 4 tickets. I mean, 1 ticket for 4 people. About 5 minutes after the show is finished, we'll put it in the comments. Fitzy and I'll be back next week where we will once again be giving away 4 tickets to Freedom Music Fest, Wisconsin. So until then, thank you for watching. And as always, have a blessed day.